Welcome class. Welcome to the next lecture. Today we are going to start discussing functions. Functions essentially is the next step in the set theory. We have already talked about sets and relations, right? Now let's have a quick recap. A set is an unordered collection of objects which is usually enclosed within curly braces, and we can perform various operations on sets. We have the union operation, we have the intersection operation, and things like that. Then there was one special operation that can be defined on the sets, that was the Cartesian product. Say for example we have a set A and we have a set B, so we can define the Cartesian product on the set A and B to be the set of ordered pairs A comma B, such that the element A belongs to the set A and the element B belongs to the set B, right? So this is what we have defined as a Cartesian product. Now based on that, we defined the relation R as a subset of the Cartesian product, and we say that the two elements A and B are linked to each other in some manner, right? So we saw there were different types of relations. We saw that there were symmetric relations, asymmetric relation, anti-symmetric relation. Then we saw that there were reflexives, irreflexive and non-reflexive and transitive relations. We saw that there are equivalence relations, which means the relation is a reflexive, symmetric and transitive relation. The relation can be a partially ordered relation, where it means that it is a reflexive, anti-symmetric and transitive relation. Now it is time for us to move on to the next step in the series, that is a function. A function can be essentially considered to be a special case of relation, right? So just like a relation, a function f is also a subset of A cross B. Once again, we are defining a function also on the sets A and B. Just like relation, we can define a set on, it can be defined either on two sets, and just like relation, you can also define the function on a single set also, right? As you remember, we were able to define the relation on multiple sets. We were able to define the relation on a single set. We can say that the set, the two sets that are being used to define the function are actually being represented by the same set, right? So what is a function? A function is a special case of relation. Now let us see how this is actually a special case. Now let's define the function. Let A and B are any two given sets, right? Preferably non-empty sets, right? Let A and B be any two sets. Now a relation f as the function is a special case of a relation only. So we first initially start with a relation f from A to B is called a function. Now please pay attention. If for every element A belonging to the first set, there is a unique element B belonging to the, sorry, this should be like this. So there should be a unique element B belonging to the set B, such that A comma B belongs to the given relation. Let me repeat. Let us first imagine the function to be a relation only. Now what is a relation? A relation is a subset of the Cartesian product, right? So let us say there is this relation f that we have defined, right? It is having A comma B pairs. Now let us see, this relation f can be said to be a function if for every element A belonging to the set A. Please note, I am saying for every element A. That means the first important point is all elements of A must be in the relation. So a relation, the first condition for a relation to become a function is that all the elements of A, the first set, must be in the relation. So that for every A belonging to B, there is a unique element B belonging to B. So the second condition is for every A, there must be a unique, sorry, not unique B belonging to B, right? For every element A, there must be a unique element B, right? To graphically represent a function, we normally use arrow diagrams. This is the set A, this is the set B, and this is the mapping between A to B. The function is also called a mapping. The function that is from A to B is also called a mapping from A to B. Right. So this is the set A, this is the set B, and this is the mapping between the elements A to B. We represent it as B is equal to f of A, where f is the function. Right? This is the function. This is the set B. This is the set A, and this is the mapping, which is represented by the element by the letter f. So we say that B is equal to f of A. Right? Let's see certain terminologies. Before that, let's first understand what makes a real function. Let's see certain examples. Say for example, I have a set A having the three elements 1, 2 and 3. And I have defined a relation. I have defined a relation F over here having the three pairs 1, 3, 2, 3 and 3, 1. I have another relation G which is having the pairs 1, 2, 3, 1, and I have another relation 1, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2 and 3, 1. Now please remember the two conditions that we talked about for a relation to be a function. What was the first condition? All elements of A must be in relation. And what was the second condition? Every element A belonging to A must be mapped to a unique B belonging to B. Pardon my writing. It's difficult writing on this tablet. Okay. Now let's see this F. Now I can see that the set is 1, 2, 3. Right? Let us see the elements. See, essentially what is happening over here is we are creating a relation from 1 to 3 to the relation to the set 1 to 3. That means this is the set A and this is the set B. Now it can be a function if all the elements of set A are present. You can see over here 1, 2 and 3. So the first condition is satisfied. Now what does the second condition say? The second condition says that for every element A there must be must be mapped to a unique element B belonging to B. Now please pay attention. Please pay attention. Here is a perspective confusion over here. Now see, 1 is mapped to 3, 2 is mapped to 3. Now the biggest confusion that comes over here is we have said that for every element A, it must be mapped to a unique element B. Every element A must be mapped to a unique element B. So can we say that this is a function? Yes, we can. Why? But the question might arise, if 1 is mapped to 3 and 2 is mapped to 3, how can we say that this is a function? Please remember, I have used the word unique, not distinct. What the condition means, the condition says every element of the set A must be mapped to a unique element. What it means is that if 1 is being mapped to 3, what it means is it should not be mapped to any other element in addition. Two of the elements of set A can be mapped to a single element of set B. Not a problem over there. The problem arises when one element of set A is mapped to multiple elements of set B. The problem comes over there. So this is a function. Let's see this G. Now only two elements 1 and 3 are participating from A. So this is not a function. Why? Because the first condition is not being satisfied. Right? Let's see once again. Here 1, 2, 1, 3. All the elements of set A are participating. So the first condition is satisfied. But see over here, 1 is being mapped to 3 and 1 is mapped to 2. So the element 1 is being mapped to 2 and it is again being mapped to 3. Now this is something that we cannot allow. This is what I meant by saying that a single element of each and every element of set A must be mapped to a unique element of B. Right? So this H once again is not a function. Let's see this another example. Let's consider the function fx is equal to x cube. Right? It assigns to each real number. Now this function has been defined from, let us say, the set of real numbers to the set of real numbers. So now the first element is the value, let us say x, and the second element is the x cube, right? So as the example says, the image of 2 is 8, image of 1 is 1, image of 3 is 27, and so on. Now this is a function. Why? Because for every real number, I can find a cube, and every real number can have a single cube. You cannot show me any real number which has multiple values for its cube. So both the conditions are being satisfied. So this is a function. Let us say this example. Let's take this example. A is equal to ABCD and we have another set B is equal to RSTU. Now we say function of A is S. Sorry, right? So A is being mapped into S. B is being mapped into U. C is being mapped into R. And D is being mapped into S. So each element is participating in the relation and each element is being mapped to a single element. So this is a function. But again, you might see over here the element T. It is not being mapped to any of the elements, but does not make any difference, right? So say that this is a function. Let's see another example. And this will show us a easier way to identify what is a function and what is not if the sets and the pairs are limited in number. Say for example, I have A is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4 and B is equal to 1, 4, 6, 9, 16, 18. Right? Now, as I said earlier, a function is usually represented with the help of a arrow diagram. Now I have shown you 4 mappings, F1, F2, F3 and F4. Now we have to identify which of them is a function and which of them is not. Now what we'll do is, we will use the arrow diagram to identify which of them is a function and which of them is not. Right? Let's begin. The first mapping says 1, 1, 2, 6, 4, 9 and 4, 18. So I have an arrow over here, 1, 2, 6, 4, 9 and 4, 18. Now, what were the two conditions? The two conditions said, the condition number 1 was each element of A must be in mapping. Second condition says each A belonging to A must be mapped to unique element B belonging to B, right? So when translated to arrow diagrams, what it means is, number 1, each element in A must have a single arrow going out of it, right? So that means from each element of the set A, each element, if I have each arrow going out of each element, that means the first condition is satisfied. And if I have the second important word over here is single, right? If I have a single element, single arrow, that means the second condition will be satisfied. Now let us see over here. I have an arrow going out of 1. I have an arrow going out of 2. I do not have an arrow going out of 3. And I have 2 arrows going out of 4. So both the conditions are being violated. What does it mean? One of the elements from the set A is not participating. And the second, an element 4 of the set A has two distinct mappings, 9 and 18. So this is not a function. Let us see F2. F2 says 1, 1, 2, 6, 3, 9, 4, 9 and 4, 16. So once again, each element has an arrow going out of it, right? So first condition is satisfied. But unfortunately, from 4, you can see that there are 2 arrows that are going out. So the second condition is being violated. So this is once again not a function. Let us see over here. Now I can see each element has an arrow going out of it, and from each element there is a single arrow that is going out. So both the conditions are being satisfied. So this is a function. Similarly, let's see this one. I can see that from each element an arrow is going out. 1 is being mapped to 1, 2 is being mapped to 4, but 3 and 4 both are being mapped to 9. So should we say that this is not a function? No. Why? Because 3 is being mapped to 9 and 4 is being mapped to 9, but each element has a single arrow going out of it. The problem comes when from a single element you have multiple arrows going out. So this is once again a function. So the above two are not a function and the below two are functions. Let's see another example. Once again, let A, B, C, D and B is equal to 7, 8, 9. Once again, I have given you 4 mappings. Rather, let me do one thing. I'll leave it over here. I suggest you note this question and try solving it on your own. Right? Once again, the two conditions are each element of A must be in mapping, and for A related to A must be mapped to a unique B related to B. That means every element of the set A must be there in the pairs, and every element of set A must occur only once in the pairs. So if you have two pairs A, 7 and let us say A, 8, then it will no longer be a function. So I leave this example to you. Study it. Now let's talk about certain terminologies. Say for example, if we say that there are two sets, set A and set B, and we say that there is a mapping from A to B, a function is also called a mapping. So if there is a mapping from the set A to set B, right, it is written as F A to B, right? And we can also say if A is an element of A and let us say B is an element of B, we can also say F of A is equal to, right, the mapping of A is B. Now let us say certain terminologies. The first set A is called the domain of the function. Now please pay attention, the terminologies are slightly different than that of a relation. The first set A is called the domain. Now please remember, in case of relation, it was the set of the first element of the pairs. But here, all the elements of the first set will be there in the function. So the first set, set A, is called the domain. B, the set B is not called the range, it is called the codomain of the set, codomain of function. So the set, if I have a function defined from A to B, this is called the domain and this is called the codomain, right? So these are the two things. Then when I write it like this, FA is equal to B, then B is called the image of A and A is called the pre-image of B, right? If I write f of A is equal to B, then we say that B is the image of A and A is said to be the pre-image of B, right? And the set of all the set of all the images, set of all the images is called the range. So we have the domain, we have the codomain, and we have the range. So what is the range over here? The range is the set of all the images. Say for example, let us say I have a set, let us say A is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, and let us define the function mathematically. Let us say f of A is equal to, let us say, A square. So the range, I'm not defining the codomain over here. Now what will be the range? Range will be, range of function will be 1, 4, 9 and 16. The set of all the images is called the range, right? Let's proceed. Let's understand the difference between range and codomain. This is something that I've seen people getting confused, because function, although it is a special case of a relation, but here the definition of range and codomain become different. So the range of a function might not be the entire codomain. Let me once again write it. Let us say let's write the function f. It is a function from the set A to set B, and we know that the set A is called the domain. This is called the codomain. And the set of all the, we have also shown f of A is equal to B, and the set of all the images is called the range. The range of the function might not be the entire codomain. Say for example, we are defining a function on the set of integers, right? Let us say we are defining the function on the set of integers and we are defining it as f of x is equal to x square. Now the domain of the function will be minus infinity to plus infinity, or rather let's do one thing. Let us make the things a little bit simpler and let us say we are defining the relation on positive integers. Right, now the domain will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and so on. The codomain is also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 up to infinity. Why? Because I'm defining the function from the set of positive integers to the set of positive integers. So what is the domain? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 up to infinity, the set of positive integers. What is the codomain? It is once again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 up to infinity, the set of positive integers. But what is the range? The range is not the entire set z plus. But what is the range? It is 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49 and so on. The set of all the squares. So in this way, the range of the function might not be the whole codomain. The codomain is the set that the function is declared to map all the domain values into, right? So that means if the mapping is from A to B, B is the codomain. Whereas the range is the particular set of values in the codomain that the function actually maps through. So the range is actually a subset of codomain. So codomain is the set B and range is some specific elements from the set B which will actually be used as images of the elements from the set, right? Let's see certain examples. Suppose I declare that f is a function mapping students in this class to the set of grade A, B, C, D, F, right? So I know that f is the function mapping the students in the class. Now students in the class, this becomes the domain. And the grades, these are the codomain, right? And now up to this point, I cannot say anything about the range. Why? Because I do not know what is going to be the grades of all the students. Suppose all the grades turn out to be A's and B's as is expected. I know all my students are very intelligent. They are excellent students. So they will get nothing less than A or B. I expect everyone to get an A. But chalo मान लेते हैं, there are certain people who are not able to prepare very well right before the examination and they get a good B, right? So they all get the grades as A and B. So although the codomain was A, B, C, D, F, but the range will be only A and B. Why? Because these are the only two values from the codomain that are being used as the images of the student. So I have, this is the grade is equal to function student. This is the pre-image and this is the image. So the set of all the actual images is called the range, right? I hope this is clear by now. Right? Okay, let's proceed. Let us see certain more examples. Right? These are 4 mappings that I've shown with the help of arrow diagrams. Now I leave it up to you to identify which of them are function and which of them are not. Let's call them, this is F1, this is F2, this is F3 and this is F4, and you have to identify which of them are functions and which of them are not. Okay. Once again, another example, I have shown you a function. This is the domain, this is the codomain, and these are the mappings, right? Now you have to tell me what is the range of the function, what is the image of C, and what is the pre-image of E, right? Now you have to solve these questions, and if there are any difficulties in solving these questions, what we'll do is we'll discuss them while taking the discussion session or later on, right? So today what we have talked about is a very basic concept of a function. To have a quick recap, what is a function? A function is a mapping. It is a special case of a relation. It is a mapping from a set A to set B with 2 conditions. Condition number 1 says all the elements of the set A must participate in the mapping, and the condition number 2 says each element of set A must be mapped to a unique element in the set B. In terms of arrow diagrams, if I say, it means that from each element of the set A, there must start one and only one arrow towards the set B. We have seen certain terminologies. We have seen that if I write that there is a set from the function from the set A to B, A is called the domain, B is called the codomain, and if I write f of A is equal to B, A is called the pre-image and B is called the image, and the set of all the images is called the range of the function, right? So if there are any difficulties up to this point, we will discuss them. You can post them on the discussion forum, or we will discuss them when we have the next discussion session. Okay, thank you.